The morning of September 11th, 2001, dawned like any other. The sun rose, people went to work, children boarded school buses, but within hours, everything changed. The world watched in horror as terrorists attacked the United States. The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center crumbled. The Pentagon burned. America was under attack. Amidst the chaos and carnage, a lone Boeing 747 soared through the skies, its call sign Airforce One. On board, President George W. Bush received the chilling news that America was under attack. The world held its breath. What would happen next? The fate of the nation, perhaps even the world, seemed to hang in the balance. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, a sense of urgency gripped the nation. The Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, took the unprecedented step of grounding all civilian aircraft. Never before in history had the American sky been emptied of planes. It was a testament to the scale of the attacks and the fear that gripped the nation. This grounding, while necessary, had a crippling effect on the airline industry. Thousands of flights were canceled. Passengers were stranded. Airports, once bustling hubs of activity, became eerily silent. The economic impact was immediate and severe. Airlines, already struggling, faced an uncertain future. The order to ground all flights was not made lightly. The FAA, in consultation with the White House, recognized the need to secure American airspace. With the attack still unfolding, it was unclear if other planes were involved. The grounding, though disruptive, was a necessary precaution to prevent further tragedy. The grounding of the airline industry sent shockwaves through the American economy. Airlines, already operating on thin margins, faced an unprecedented crisis. With no revenue coming in and planes grounded, they began to hemorrhage money. Layoffs were announced. Routes were cut. The future of air travel seemed bleak. The impact extended far beyond the airlines themselves. The tourism industry ground to a halt. Hotels stood empty. Restaurants and shops dependent on travelers struggled to survive. The ripple effects of the attacks were felt across the entire economy. The government, recognizing the gravity of the situation, stepped in to provide financial assistance to the airlines. The Air Transportation Safety and System Stabilization Act, passed by Congress and signed by President Bush, provided billions of dollars in loans and grants. This lifeline helped to prevent the collapse of the industry, but it was clear that aviation would never be the same. The 9/11 attacks exposed glaring vulnerabilities in airport security. The hijackers had been able to board their flights with relative ease, carrying weapons and explosives. It was clear that a complete overhaul of airport security was needed. In response, the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, was created. The TSA, formed in the wake of the attacks, was tasked with enhancing security at airports across the nation. New protocols were implemented. Passengers were subjected to more rigorous screening. Checked baggage was scanned for explosives. Airports became fortresses with armed guards and increased surveillance. The creation of the TSA marked a turning point in aviation security. No longer would passengers be able to simply walk onto a plane without thorough screening. The days of relaxed airport security were over. Flying would never be as carefree as it once was, but it would be significantly safer. On that fateful morning, Airforce One became more than just a plane. It transformed into a mobile command center, a symbol of American resilience, and a refuge for the president and his staff. As the attacks unfolded, the world watched as Airforce One, call sign Venus, became a poignant symbol of leadership in crisis. The Boeing 747, heavily modified for presidential use, is equipped with advanced communication systems, secure lines, and even a presidential suite. It's designed to withstand various threats, making it a safe haven for the president during times of national emergency. On 9/11s, these features proved invaluable. Airforce One, with its distinctive blue and white livery, became a symbol of continuity and strength in the face of unimaginable terror. As the president flew across the country, making calls, addressing the nation, and strategizing with his advisors, the plane embodied the resilience of the American spirit. Inside Airforce One, the atmosphere was tense. President Bush, along with his advisors, monitored the unfolding events with growing alarm. The president made a series of phone calls, reaching out to world leaders and coordinating the nation's response. Every minute seemed to bring fresh news, each report more alarming than the last. The president's movements that day were dictated by security concerns and the need to maintain a functioning government. Airforce One, initially en route to Florida, was diverted multiple times. It flew to Louisiana, then to Nebraska, before finally landing at Barksdale Air Force Base. The president's every move was tracked by the world. His words, broadcast from Airforce One, offered reassurance and resolve. "We will not waver," he declared. "We will hunt down the terrorists responsible for these cowardly acts and bring them to justice." As the initial shock subsided, a new emotion began to take hold: anger. The attacks on 9/11s were not merely acts of terrorism, they were acts of war. On board Air Force One, the president and his advisors began to discuss the appropriate response. The world braced for the inevitable. The president, speaking from the Oval Office later that evening, declared a war on terror. He vowed to hunt down those responsible for the attacks and to hold them accountable. The United States, he promised, would not rest until justice was served. The 9/11 attacks marked a turning point in American foreign policy. The nation, once hesitant to involve itself in foreign entanglements, adopted a more assertive posture. The war on terror, launched in response to the attacks, would define American foreign policy for years to come. The 9/11 attacks forced a fundamental reassessment of aviation security. It became abundantly clear that the existing measures were woefully inadequate. The hijackers had exploited weaknesses in the system, exposing vulnerabilities that could no longer be ignored. The creation of the TSA was just the beginning. Airports across the country underwent a security makeover. New technologies such as full-body scanners and explosive detection systems were deployed. Air marshals, armed federal agents, were placed on flights. Cockpit doors were reinforced to prevent unauthorized access. These measures, while disruptive and costly, have made air travel significantly safer. The skies are no longer as open as they once were, but they are undeniably more secure. The legacy of 9/11s lives on in every airport security checkpoint and every pat-down. The 9/11 attacks cast a long shadow over the 21st century. They fundamentally altered the way we live, work, and travel. The world, once seemingly defined by globalization and interconnectedness, retreated behind walls of security and suspicion. The attacks also had a profound impact on American society. They led to the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, a vast new bureaucracy tasked with preventing future attacks. The Patriot Act, passed in the wake of 9/11, expanded the government's surveillance powers, sparking debates about privacy and civil liberties. The legacy of 9/11s is complex and multifaceted. It is a story of loss and resilience, of fear and courage, of unity and division. It is a reminder of the fragility of peace and the enduring power of the human spirit. 2 decades on, the memories of 9/11s remain vivid. We remember the victims, the passengers and crew of the 4 flights, the office workers in the Twin Towers, the first responders who rushed into danger, the soldiers who fought in the wars that followed. Their stories continue to inspire and to break our hearts. We remember the heroes, the firefighters who climbed the stairs of the World Trade Center, the police officers who risked their lives to save others, the ordinary citizens who performed extraordinary acts of courage. Their selfless actions remind us of the best of humanity. We remember the lessons learned, the importance of vigilance, the need for unity, the enduring power of hope. We vow to never forget the victims, to honor the heroes, and to build a safer and more peaceful world. The attacks of September 11th, 2001 were a watershed moment in American history. They exposed our vulnerabilities, tested our resolve, and forever changed our perception of the world. The scars of that day run deep, but so too does the spirit of resilience and the determination to never forget. The legacy of 9/11 continues to shape our world. It is a reminder that freedom is precious and must be defended. It is a call to action to build a more just and peaceful world. It is a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. We will never forget the victims of 9/11s, nor the lessons learned that day. We will continue to honor their memory by striving to create a world where such atrocities are never repeated. We will never forget.